it's Movement is Medicine Mondays, and I'm thinking that either you just watched the video by Amy Cuddy or you've seen the video before, and hopefully you're totally inspired and you're working on some of those power poses in the bathroom, maybe in the conference room. Yes! Those victory poses, those standing tall, sitting tall. And I work with a lot of you on this in the treatment room. And I just want to talk you through a few things that you can add into that power pose that are going to really work with that mind-body connection, okay? So we want to add some breath work in first. And what happens to a lot of us when we get stressed, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Sit here on the couch. Okay, what happens to a lot of us when we get stressed is we tend to curl forwards. The diaphragm curls us forwards, we pull the shoulders forward, we go into fight or flight, protective mode, and then because we're just so smart and so emotionally intelligent, we're like, oh yes, I will take a deep breath because I'm feeling stressed. But what we do is we don't change our posture, and so we're still curling forward, and so we try to take a deep breath, and it's like, and it's more like a slow hyperventilation, which does nothing to help take us from that place in the amygdala back into the frontal lobe where we need to be to start being able to think logically, or we need to be able to start looking at a situation or a scenario with our full brain instead of just our survival, fight or flight, oh, I might want to kill you now, reflex response. So I want to teach you what I call the stress breaker breath, okay? Learn this from an amazing psychiatrist. Say psychiatrist as 5 times as fast as you can. Learn this from an amazing psychiatrist in Grand Junction, and I'm sure she learned it from someone else. I'm just going to pass it on to you. So what you do is before you take that deep breath, I want you to, if you're sitting, put your weight into your sits bones, slight squeeze of those glutes, and lift that spine long and strong. So you're going to lift the core. I'm coming to the chair here to show you. So if I'm curled forward, hopefully I'm close enough for you to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my weight back in my sits bones, slightly squeeze my glutes, and lift my core long and strong. Then from that position, which I'm going to get into that position here on the floor, from that position I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to hold it. And then I'm going to exhale and let my muscles melt. Now I could be laying on the floor to do this. I could be laying on my bed. I could be anywhere doing that. But you want to find a position where when you release that breath, that you're actually letting your muscles melt and release down. It's also important that you hold that breath. Why? Because that's sending your brain a message that everything's okay. I do not need to force myself to get a whole bunch of oxygen in right now, which would be hyperventilation, yes? Okay, so let's lay that foundation. The other thing that I'd like for you to be aware of is when you are standing, and I'm gonna put this down so I can do that. When you're standing, a lot of times we put our weight, and you can't see my feet, but we'll put our weight in the balls of our feet. And what happens to our posture as you move up the body when we put our weight in the balls of the feet is that we come forward, the hips come forward, and if we're stressing out, that means we're going to be pulling forward, kind of like this. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but the diaphragm muscles are going to pull down, okay? So the weight's coming here, and this is going to stress that lower back out. So when you're standing in that power posture, I want to add one thing, and I've told many of you this over and over again. I'll never stop repeating this. You're going to bring your weight to your heels. When you're sitting, the weight goes to the sits bones. When we're tired and stressed, we'll curl the tailbone under when we're sitting and then curl this forward, and these muscles get stressed. What I want you to do when you're sitting is come to the sits bones and then squeeze the glutes and lengthen. When you're standing, the weight's in the heels, mainly. Squeeze the glutes and lengthen the core. My shoulders automatically have to open when I lengthen my spine. They have to go somewhere, and they're going to pull back and get relaxed. So from that point, then do your power pose. Then take the deep breath. And as you breathe in, I want you to hold that breath and then slowly melt the muscles and feel the relaxation just cascade over your body. So that's all I've got to add to Amy Cuddy. Lots more great videos you can look at for her. And as always, I'm going to be bringing more videos to Movement is Medicine Mondays. And you know, someday I might even do a TED Talk. So that would probably be sometime in the future. But I'm living, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I hope you are too. I'll see you next week.